For this afternoon and tonight, a significant winter storm, including heavy snow with limited drinking.
Hello and welcome to the SnowBrains podcast, where it's my job to interview the most intelligent people in the snow sports industry and pass their fascinating knowledge onto you, our listeners. I'm your host, Miles Clark. I'm a professional free skier, a mountain guide, an Alaska heli ski guide, a UC Berkeley molecular cell biology graduate, the founder and CEO of SnowBrains, and I just skied Skyway Monte Bianco in Courmayeur, Italy, the past 2 days. It's on the south side of Mount Blanc. This place might just offer the most efficient skiing on Earth. It's 6,600 vertical feet from the top to the bottom. The tram's insanely fast. The terrain is otherworldly. It's scary and amazing. Courmayeur is a wild place on this Earth. I feel like I'm just barely hanging on, and it's most certainly a wild ride and one that I'll never forget. This episode of the SnowBrains podcast is brought to you by Club Med. Are you ready for an unforgettable ski getaway that takes care of everything? And I mean everything. Head to one of Club Med's mountain resorts where you can experience the thrill of the slopes without worrying about a thing. With their all-inclusive packages, you'll get all your lift tickets, ski passes, ski and snowboard lessons for all ages and ski levels, delicious meals, exciting apres-ski activities, and even childcare for the kids, all included in the price. So you can focus on what matters most, carving perfect turns and enjoying the breathtaking views. Visit www.clubmed.us or call 1-800-CLUB-MED or call your travel advisor to book your ski escape today. My guest today is Kai Jones. Kai has been in TGR ski movies since he was 11 years old. He went pro at 12. He got a Red Bull helmet, a freaking Red Bull helmet at 12 years old also. He's now only 18 years old and he's one of the most famous free skiers on Earth. He's already been in a plethora of ski movies and he just made his first ever ski movie called Falling Into Place. This movie documents his big injury, his long recovery, and his triumphant return to being one of the best skiers in the world. Hello, Kai. Welcome to the show. Thank you very much for being here, man. How are you today?
Doing super good, having a nice cruisy day. We had a sick storm come in yesterday, so got a bunch of pow turns, and it was really the first storm that I got to ski of the year, so felt good to be playing around in the pow again.
It's what, December 18th. So yeah, the snow was a little slow arriving in Jackson, but it sounds like it came hard.
Yeah, totally. We just got 3 feet in the last 3 days, so it's full on now. We kind of had a dry start to the winter, but it's rolling now, and we got more snow in the forecast, so it's pretty stoked.
Nice, man. And how many days do you usually ski in a season? Like how many days did you get last year, you think?
So obviously last year I had my injury, so I was skiing much less than I normally do. I
Hmm.
probably only had 30 days on snow last year,
Really?
which is like way less than normal just because my body was still like adjusting to new things. But I've already got like 12 days on snow this winter, and I'd say normally I'm definitely like pushing close to 100.
So you only skied 30 days last year. How many of those days were you filming?
We did the math. I had 10 film days. So obviously it's like rough. Maybe I had a little bit more, but
Wow.
yeah, like I had a late start to the winter and then I had to take 5 days off after like every day I skied and then went into AK in March, filmed that trip, but you're not getting too many days on snow. Yeah, slower year last year, so I'm hyped to shred a bunch this year.
It's insane, dude, that you're only 18 years old and I'm an old man at 46 and you fully inspire me. That's amazing that you had that few days on snow and you got that much good filming and you got that much on film in the movies. Very impressive, man. What you're doing
Yeah,
is very high level, man.
it was funny like to think about because it was like I just like didn't ski that much last year, but as far as like accolades per se goes, it was my best season yet with my own film coming out. Still having like a TGR segment, got my first ski journal cover, so it was like everything all worked out. I just didn't get as much time on snow as I would have wished.
How did that make you feel after probably feeling really low with your injury and not being sure if you'd get back to normal to have such a successful season last year and really, like you say, be having these accolades being published and coming out now? How did that make you feel?
Yeah, last year was a super tough year. When I got hurt, I instantly was definitely really depressed. And as an athlete, like skiing is my life. And I lost that and definitely didn't really know what to do next. And I was just pretty lost for the first couple weeks. And with the severity of my injury, we didn't know like what capacity I'd be able to get back to. And I just slowly had to like work through those emotions. And it was a long process, but I was able to like build my confidence back up, get my body right, and then go and have such an amazing winter was just so special and it makes me like so grateful to go and like do what I did again.
Well, I'm very impressed, man. So today I really want to dig into your insane free skiing career that feels long at this point, obviously, even though you're only 18 years old. And you definitely want to talk about your new movie, talk more about your big injury. But what I really want to start with is your life story. And so I know you're only 18, but I'd love to hear your quick and dirty life story. Maybe 3 minutes, but if it goes over three, not a problem.
Yeah, okay. Well, I was born in Jackson Hole, and quickly after, my family moved to Victor, Idaho, and I've lived in Victor, Idaho my whole life. It's a small town right outside of Jackson Hole, and it's been a really special place to grow up in. It's a super small town, and yeah, there's just such a unique access to the outdoors, and I've had so much freedom growing up. My parents gave me so many opportunities to like just be in the mountains and to be free, and yeah, growing up had a lot of like outdoor recreation, just like camping, doing normal kid things. And then my parents put me on the slopes when I was 2.5 years old, maybe even earlier. I don't actually totally know. I was young though. Been skiing ever since. At first, I was just weekend warrior, like dreaming of skiing after being in the classrooms all week and going with the ski team and hitting it hard bell to bell every weekend. And that's like kind of where my like roots of skiing came from, was just like falling in love with it over the weekend and just like living a like pretty normal like mountain town childhood. And then pretty quickly, as I was like falling in love with skiing, I realized the family that I was growing up in, and that combined with my natural love just got me so stoked on skiing. And I like grew up watching like the TGR movies and stuff. So like that was just super inspirational for me. And I remember being in the Walk Festival Hall when I was a little grown watching Way of Life and Almost Ablaze and just dreaming of like going to Alaska and skiing these lines that those athletes were doing. And I think around like 10 years old, I was like, yo, I got to do that. I'm going to like start working super hard at this. I like started peppering my parents about getting into some ski contests. So I started doing the IFSA junior tour. And first year, like, did solid, didn't have enough comp scores to qualify for NORAMs and actually get like a national result. But I was just loving it and skiing so much. And then the next year, when I was 11, did the full like comp season and won the U12 North American Championships and was just progressing super fast. And it was just really like cool period in my life where I just had the world in front of me and I had the right mentors around me to chase these dreams and stuff. I was like tagging a bunch of classic lines and like
And you were
finally,
11. You were only
yeah,
11. That's
yeah,
insane.
finally like good enough to like keep up with everybody around me. And luckily too, going back a little bit, I got to ski with the older ski team when I was 10, and that helped me progress faster and stuff and get to where I was. And then 11 years old, won the U12 North American Championships. I'm having an epic winter. And then in the TGR world, they had this like big Jackson shoot plan, and Jackson's a big sponsor for the resort. So they're doing this like night shoot in Corbett's, and the director of the shoot ended up bailing. So the slot that Jackson had planned on having a segment for was empty, and they wanted to do something like cool and unique. And because my dad had like been seeing me skiing, he showed some of my videos to the guys and girls in the Jackson Hole marketing, and everyone like kind of loved what they saw and done like some like younger Grom like ski segments before with Daniel TC in the past. And yeah,
Mhm.
everyone was like super on board with that and went and got to go ski with Tim Durchie in Jackson Hole over spring break. And we filmed that whole like 11-year-old segment in Jackson Hole over spring break. And it was just a super insane experience skiing with Tim Durchie, one of my biggest inspirations growing up and going and hitting all these famous Jackson lines. That happened and like I was just like so stoked. I didn't like totally know if it was going to be in the movie. Like we were just filming and skiing and yeah, and then the segment got put in the TGR movie and it was crazy like thinking back. Man, like just like 2 years ago, I was like, this is what I got to do. And it just like happened and I just feel like so fortunate enough to have the resources and outlets around me to like get that opportunity at such a young age. And I think at first it was going to be like this like one-time opportunity, but we put the segment on YouTube and it absolutely just skyrocketed and blew up and got like 5 million views on YouTube and
Wow.
it just broke the internet and the ski world at least. And then I'd had sponsors calling and got like picked up by like Atomic, Quicksilver, Smith, and it was just on from there. And then I had my 12-year-old segment and was another like just super sick year, living the dream, doing my thing. And after that season, I got a lot of hate on Instagram just because I was a Jones boy and dad's the founder of TGR and that definitely like really bummed me out and I was just at that point I was just like so like stoked on skiing and like didn't know why like people were like pissed at me. Yeah, that season like went on and I definitely kind of like got a little chip on my shoulder after that and that summer like the gym like super hard and was doing a lot of tramp stuff and then went into the next winter like okay, I'm not gonna like ski good for a kid anymore. Like I want to ski good like a pro.
Now you're only 13.
Yeah, 13 years old. Have like a super epic winter. I get picked up by Red Bull that year, and
Wow.
the segment that I filmed in Montana got nominated and won backcountry segment of the year. And
Damn.
I hit this like biggest cliff of my life, like still to this day, like a 60-footer,
Whoa.
and that blew me up even more. And then going into the next couple years. I was just riding hot, really felt invincible. And for 3 years, I was nominated for Ride of the Year. Still haven't won it yet. That's a big one on the bucket list. But
Nice.
yeah, I had this like just crazy uphill trajectory and life was moving so fast. And I've always been very thankful for everything I've got to do. But because it all happened at such a young age and happened so quick, in hindsight, I can say maybe I took it for granted a little bit. And going into like my year where I got hurt, I was just skiing so well and I just laced this crazy line and then obviously got hurt and went through this whole journey. But I'll stop it at that because I'm sure we'll go through a lot of these questions. But kind of like just quick and dirty life story from growing up in Victor, Idaho to being in TGR films at 11 and getting to where I am now.
We get a lot of quick and dirty life stories on this, but nobody has their quick and dirty have so much change and progression and challenge and excitement in such a young age. So it's really cool. I really appreciate you sharing that. And the only comments I have is I also love Daniel TC. That kid is such a badass. And
It's a good
I
dude.
hope you get to ski with him because I know he's not always around. And then I love that you were getting hate at 11 or 12 years old because that kind of stuff is a crucible. It'll forge you. And I think you already know this, and you have a lot of really strong people, including your dad and more around you to help coach you through this stuff. But something that I've learned is you want more haters than you have today, tomorrow, because people don't hate you when you're doing poorly. People hate on you when you're doing great. So having haters is like you should be stacking them up, dude. Like have a pile. Like the higher this pile is, the better you're doing in life. So I wish you more haters, honestly, man, because those people,
That's
oh,
awesome
yeah,
though.
seriously, that's how I feel because we've gone through that at SnowBrains and I have a lot of friends who go through it. People who are doing poorly in life, they got no haters, right? It doesn't help to be mean to those people. But if you're doing great, that's when you get haters, man, because people are jealous and more. So I wish you more haters, dude, because you're killing it and ignore all that stuff. But just
I love
know,
that.
yeah, know that it's actually a sign. It's a really measurable sign that you're doing great, especially the way our modern world works. Well, we'll jump into it, man, because I have so many interesting, somewhat pointed questions here. This all happened so young for you. So, how old were you when you first got paid to ski?
Yeah, so I was 12 when I first got paid to ski. So like I was talking about
That's amazing.
in my story, I had that like crazy viral 11-year-old segment and after that the like floodgates opened and I've been super fortunate enough to like, keep a lot of my sponsors that I had from the beginning and develop super good relationships like with the brands I'm with.
I think when you're under 18, maybe your family puts that pro skier money somewhere for you. Now that you're 18, do you have access to that money?
100%. And I think like a big thing, and I've always like expressed this to my parents is especially at an early age when I was just kind of like bare minimum, like skiing salary. And obviously
Hmm.
it didn't matter at that point because when you're 11, you don't have any bills to pay. But
Yeah.
I was really adamant about reinvesting it into like skiing and keep opening up the doors and stuff to further my skiing. So that if that's like doing trips down to Utah to like the Utah Olympic Park, to like buying a trampoline, to like going and traveling and doing all the ski comps I wanted to do. Like at a young age, I think a lot of it was just reinvesting like into my skiing career and keeping the doors and the opportunities open. And then now as I've like keep developing my relationships to my sponsors to make more money, I've been able to like buy certain things. Like I bought my first car like
Nice.
2 years ago now, but I'm still young and still like living with my parents and stuff. So got pretty minimal bills to pay and my life is skiing and the only things I would buy would be ski gear and I'm lucky enough to be getting into all my ski gear for free. So yeah, just saving the money for when I need it and stuff. I'm really glad my like parents have helped me out a lot with financials and stuff and managing money well and not just spending too much, you know?
No, that's great. And I love the idea that so your folks probably helped you spend that money to do things like go to the Olympic Park, go to the trampoline park and
Yeah.
get better at skiing. And then maybe even before you're 18, helped you get a car and things that would help you towards skiing. And now that you're 18, you have to maybe make more of those decisions yourself. But I think that's great, man. It seems like you guys have a really great system. And I like that you still embrace being a kid. Even in some of your videos, when you're younger, you're calling your mom, telling her that you
Yeah.
landed a backflip and stuff. And that stuff's super cute, obviously. And it's just people like you in your situation with this many eyes on you sometimes don't get to live their childhood. And it looks like your family's done a good job and you've done a good job of protecting your childhood. It looks like you're still able to be a kid. And I guess in that vein too, I mean, I am curious, when did you land your first backflip?
Yeah, so I mean, so I did my first backflip when I was 9 and then landed it when I was 10. Um,
Wow.
and it's funny now, like, because back then, like when I landed my first one at that age, not many 9, 10-year-olds were doing backflips. But
Hmm.
now, like today, with like how skiing's progressed, there's like every 7-year-old can do a backflip now. So it's been so sick, to, like see the like youth progression and stuff, and it's so dope. It just brings a smile to my face.
No, it's great. I mean, now it's like if you can't do a backflip by 10, maybe you should find another sport. But I'm kidding, but seriously. And how about your first double backflip? How old were you when that happened?
Yeah, I think I was like 12. Yeah, I was 12 when I did my first dub back.
Jesus, man. And then triple. How old were you to do your first triple?
So I did my first triple when I was 15 and then I like kind of backslapped and it was like not super valid. And then this year I landed my first one to bolts.
Any desire to do a quadruple or is triple enough for you?
I think I would rather like take my skiing towards doing like more technical tricks. It'd be so sick to like do some triple corks in the future one day.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely like really hyped to like keep pushing the like freestyle side of my skiing and work on the more tech tricks. So I do a lot of like training for that in the summer and stuff and super crucial. And I think that's where the sport's going. And yeah, you got to be able to like lace corks and doubles and AK and stuff. That's the future.
I think that is the future, and you're going to be part of that, man. And so, yes, speaking of the technical, how hard was it to go from a double backflip to a double cork?
It's so much harder. Like I didn't land my first dub 10 until I was 14. Like the dub
Still
back, it's just
14.
like it's easy to comprehend like a dub back. Like you're just adding another flip to the back flip and partially you can just hawk and pray and if you get like the right spot, you'll stomp it. When I was younger, when I was like 12 and I did my first one was just like a hawk and then I like barely saw the landing, was able to like stomp it and ride out of it. But now I have like way more like axis control on it. But like with the double cork, you need to have that axis control from the get-go. You can't just sling and pray that you get it around. You have to have different spot points in the trick and see the landing so it comes around well.
And is this stuff you learn on a trampoline or learn before you go onto skis?
Yeah, totally. Like I tramp so much. So like even yeah, dub back. I was like probably doing double backflips on tramp at like 10 years old.
Wow.
And then like with like the double corks and stuff, you're just trying to perfect those on tramp so you see super fluidly through it. So when you take it to snow, you can see the right places and bring it to your feet.
So it sounds like you got sponsored by Red Bull, age 13. And for our listeners, if you don't know, and I think most people do, it's kind of the pinnacle. It's sort of the best sponsor you can have. And you get the fancy helmet, and it's a big deal. And is that right? 13, I think. And you don't have
Yeah.
to share how much you get paid, but how much do Red Bull athletes get paid?
Yeah, so I mean, to kind of add to like Red Bull, growing up, it was my absolute dream to be a Red Bull athlete because it is
Hmm.
that pinnacle. So that was one of my biggest goals to get sponsored by Red Bull. And I think I just like checked the right boxes for being a Red Bull athlete. So they were willing to take a shot on me. And yeah, they sponsor their athletes young, so they can get them for like necessarily they're like these big, huge athletes, they want to like help you like build into your career. And they're a super like cool company as far as providing opportunities and helping you chase your dreams and get to where you need to be with your skiing career. And then on the like financial like side of being a Red Bull athlete, they're by far the biggest money in skiing. Because I think just endemic ski brands have like a smaller market, and non-endemic Red Bull has a bigger market and it's just a bigger company, and they're super invested in helping like core athletes, which is so cool. And I have like so much respect that they still value the marketing behind athletes, and even athletes in like smaller sports. Like I spent a lot of time at the Red Bull gym, and I met a yo-yoer from China. Like they have
That's
like
cool.
every athlete from like basketball players to yo-yoers. They're really dialed, and I think what's made it such a cool brand is the people around it, and it's cool that they're doing that.
That's amazing, man. And so it sounds like you were 11 years old in your first TGR movie, and your dad is a co-founder, co-owner with, I guess, your uncle, right? Your uncle and your
Yeah,
dad,
Steve.
brothers. And so are you a part owner of TGR now that you're 18? Is that something that you're going to vest into or have interest in?
Yeah, maybe one day. But my dad and Steve are the founders and they run the company, and it's super cool. And I kind of like let them do their thing. And I think business is super stressful and stuff. So I'm not trying to get into that too young. I'm stoked on just like focusing on my skiing and just like I guess like the one thing I do like help with at TGR is creative vision, like with the films and stuff, and obviously having insight to like the youth and what is cool for kids, and going into like the future more want to like keep helping the crew and the producers there with the vision and just making it rad and dope. And I really care what the like whole quality of the TGR film looks like. Obviously, like I'm super invested in what my personal part looks like, but I want the whole film to be super rad, and I'm always there. I always have an ear for the crew there if they're ever like looking for any inside.
That's great, man. I think that's smart. Yeah, do your thing now while you're young and stay away from the business for as long as you can, because it'll eventually get to you, however, in one way, shape, or form. But it appears that you don't go to school in a traditional sense. So I'm guessing you were homeschooled, and I'm curious who taught you and what your aspirations for college are, and when did you start homeschooling?
Yeah, so I do online school. I do Peekaboo Street Academy, and I was in school all the way through middle school. And then in eighth grade, I switched to full online. And then I did online school through the school that year, and then switched to the Peekaboo Street Academy. And it's been super amazing. They're an online school based out of Park City, Utah. They've got building in PC, and I can like call into the teachers anytime I need, or go down and visit if I have like some like big exams or something I need to study for. And it's been super cool to like open up the opportunities for like skiing. And yeah, I definitely like wouldn't be able to do what I do without the schooling that I've had, and super stoked that I've got to like have the opportunity to be in line so I can travel and do all these cool things, because I've been blessed to like have these really rad life experiences at a young age. And then on that like same note with like college, I've got yeah, such unique opportunities to like go see the world and like have really amazing like cultural experiences and like do a lot of cool things. So as of now, I'm gonna go in, and I would never write off college, but for the foreseeable future, I'm just gonna focus on my skiing and put everything into that. And yeah, just super stoked with what the future has ahead. It's gets me fired up talking about it.
That's exciting, man. And it's neat. If our listeners don't know, Peekaboo Street is a really famous World Cup ski racer, Olympic ski racer from Park City. And that's cool. I didn't realize she has her own academy school for
Yeah,
for
yeah,
for
I
folks
think
like
like
you.
yeah, it's super rad because I think she struggled in high school because they weren't adapting the like programming for her. And she had like all these amazing accomplishments, and she was really smart, but the school just wasn't designed for her life. So she wanted to like create an outlet for kids. And it's not just like a school for skiers, like there's tons of different athletes, like ice skaters and swimmers. And I mean they've got like tons of different people that they're helping out, and it's a really cool like outlet for young athletes.
That's cool, man. And so I am curious, what is it like having your dad be the co-founder of the huge film company TGR, which is Teach on Gravity Research? How have you and your dad and TGR, or I guess how has your dad and TGR pushed your skiing?
Yeah, I mean, it's been so cool to like grow up around TGR. TGR obviously like creates these really amazing, inspiring films and to like literally like grow up in that world. I've been a dreamer, and I think that's like so important that I am who I am today because my parents have shown me that like you can dream and you can chase a dream and you can accomplish that. And then obviously with skiing being my love and skiing being my dream to like have the mentors around skiing has been so crucial to like getting me where I am today. And it's just been such a surreal experience from like being probably the biggest TGR fan 10 years old to being in the film at 11, it's wild.
That's surreal, man. I think a lot of us older folks worry about you charging so hard at such a young age, which you've been doing for sounds like 6 plus 7 years now. Do you feel at all like you're being pushed too far by the industry, by Red Bull, by TGR, by your father?
I'm pretty lucky to like have like a good shield around me. I've never felt outside pressures, even if they were any. I've always pushed myself to the capacity that I've wanted to push myself. And up until my big injury, I was feeling really good and lacing everything that I was doing. And there was no reason to slow down. But I'm thankful that I did have this injury to like slow me down and show me this different side of skiing. Now I have a much better head on my shoulder as far as, okay, how do you like prepare your body better? Like you should avoid these types of terrain to like encourage longevity, and there's so many like other like little details that you just have to like learn through making mistakes and stuff. So to like summarize that like a little better, I guess it's never really felt outside pressures, and I've just kind of done my own thing with my skiing. And obviously I did have this like really big scary injury, but it's taught me a lot about health. And now I'm like much more focused about my physical shape so I can be skiing on a everyday basis for a long time. And like that's like the most important thing.
This episode of the SnowBrains podcast is brought to you by Club Med. Calling all skiers and snowboarders, escape to the snowy peaks of Europe, Japan, China, or Canada with Club Med. Their more than 20 all-inclusive mountain resorts offer unparalleled convenience and endless adventures. Explore world-class ski resorts, indulge in authentic gourmet dining, and unwind with lively apres-ski activities. Let Club Med take care of everything so you can simply relax and enjoy your ski getaway. Visit www.clubmed.us or call 1-800-CLUB-MED or call your travel advisor to discover your ski paradise. Well, I really like how you say you're grateful about your injury and it helped you slow down, because I think that probably was really important for you. So tell us about your big injury. I think it was in 2023. What happened? Where were you? Who were you with? And what was the recovery like?
Yeah, so that year we started filming in January, and it got kicked off to a great start. Went to Old Pass Road Gap, which is this like classic hit in Jackson. It's like a 50-foot road gap probably. And went there like stomped to cork sev, biggest cork sev of my life.
Wow.
And then stomped a dub back next hit, and it was just full throttle from there on out. We were just filming a bunch. It was a really great winter. It was a record-breaking winter that year. It was just on. And then I remember we went down south of Jackson and we were reconning these snowmobile zones for a while. And then we came up to the zone that we named the Cathedral. And it is just this insane massif of rocks, 1,000 vertical feet. There's only like three skiable lines through the whole zone. And first line of the day, I go and do this 1,000 foot straight line. And
Whoa.
to this day, it was like the craziest moment of my life and one of the like wildest lines I've ever skied. And then I went up to like go do another line, and it was probably a 500 foot straight line to 20 foot cliff. And I go and send it like way too big off this cliff into the flats. And then I kind of like subluxed my shoulder and tweaked my shoulder a little bit. And before that, I literally like I cannot even remember the crash. I was like just stomping everything. And then
Wow.
I had to like slow things down for 2 weeks, and it was storming a lot while I was a little banged up. So yeah, I go home, focus on some school. I do some PT for my shoulder. get everything straight. There's a big sunny day in the forecast, like one of those just, the days where it's just been snowing so much and it's just a super hype day. We go out. I actually wanted to go build this triple jump, but I wanted to go like tag a line that I had hit earlier in that year to go and like just clean the clip up and go scope real quick and then get like back up on the sled. And I'm feeling really good about this line just because I've hit it like 4 times before. I hit it literally like 4 weeks ago and
Mm-hmm.
then see the line exactly how I ski it. And then bang, right on the landing. Instantly, both of my legs collapse and I blow out both my tibia tubercles and then tumble down the mountain. And at that point, I was just like in the worst pain of my life. And
Oof.
I like didn't know what to think next. We had to call in search and rescue. Search and rescue picked me up, long line me to an ambulance, and then in the ambulance they drove me to the Jackson Hole Hospital where I was like immediately thrown into a trauma surgery. Got 4 screws put in each of my legs, and then I remember just like sitting there in the hospital, just shook, completely shook and lost because I didn't know when I was gonna ski next, and that was my life. So that was like a super hard part of my journey was just accepting everything that had happened and like being content with where I was and what had happened. And then to add to that, I ended up losing a bunch of blood in the hospital and I had to get a
Whoa.
blood transfusion and then
Jeez.
finally got home, was like doing PT. Then I had to get another surgery for both my meniscuses, which I tore in the tumble after the
Really?
crash.
Oh, I didn't know that part.
Got that done with Hackett, and then yeah, I was all sewn together and pretty braille. I had to be in a wheelchair for like 9 weeks in total. Was able to
Wow.
get out of the wheelchair and just spent the whole summer basically like in and out of LA training with the crew at Red Bull, and yeah, and then after that was able to like slowly work into skiing and get back up to like the high peaks of Alaska later in March, exactly a year after my injury.
So did it take about a year to get back to snow?
I don't know the exact months, but yeah, so I got hurt in March and then skied late December. But
Okay.
like I was not skiing well. It was like a pseudo first day. I skied half day and then I was pretty inflamed and sore and had to take a couple days off, keep hitting the gym and then go back out, repeat, and that was the good duration of my winter.
So those tubercles you said, the tibial tuber, they're sort of right below your kneecaps, right? You basically ripped those off. It's kind of growth
Yeah,
plate.
yeah, it's like the top of the leg bone where your like knee sits on.
Okay. And so that just came straight off. So they had to bolt it back on. 4 screws each
Yeah,
one, and
it
then
got like kind
meniscus
of peeled
surgeries.
off and then yeah, like bolted back in.
And how do your knees feel today?
They're feeling super good. So I actually got those screws removed in August and
Mhm.
now like I'm feeling so solid. I was just getting my boots fit in Habitat and I was just talking to the boys and I was like, man, yeah, it just is like so sick to be actually just shredding and keeping up with all the boys at the resort and stuff and feeling like a kid again, riding the hill. I didn't get to like do much full tilt resort shredding last year, so it's been so fun just feeling good again.
Oh, I'm glad, man. I'm really glad to hear that. And how is your body holding up overall? Your body has taken a lot more hits than most 18-year-old bodies. Are you sore? Do you have aches and pains, or how are you?
No, I'm doing pretty good. I've after that like whole injury went down, I kind of put a better head on my shoulder with what I'm choosing to do. So now I like am trying to avoid flat landings and trying to ski lines that'll make my body feel good and make me feel good. So I'm feeling really good, feeling stoked. Definitely got like a little bit of shin bang though.
Yeah, I
That'll
bet.
always
Well,
happen. But
that's par for the course.
yeah, and then I'm super like just conscious, like always listening to my body, listening to my knees, making sure I'm feeling good and not pushing it too hard. So yeah, doing really good. It's nice to be feeling good again.
And I think that's a huge point for our listeners to think about it. That your big injury, you're says something you're grateful for, and it may have very well helped you avoid other injuries, right? Because now you understand more about your body, about flat landings, about what to avoid. So I think that's really interesting. And I think your movie talks a lot about that. And so I am curious, your film's called Falling into Place, and it premiered at the Coast Film Festival this fall. Can you tell us about the experience of creating this film and what it means to you?
Yeah, this film is like so special and important to me. I remember like being so down and so out of it and you just feel like pretty lonely when you're that hurt and you're that isolated. So I wanted to make a film for myself when I was going through that really hard time. And I wanted something good and positive to like come out of this like super traumatic experience. And I wanted to create this film to like inspire people and like show people that even faced with the ultimate adversity, you can push through and you can stay mentally strong and you can succeed through it all. Yeah, we scratched together some budget. It was super hard, but ended up having like just enough to make it happen. And Clayton Viller came on and edited the film. And me and my dad like just so hard on it because we were so passionate about it and passionate about the story and just wanted to like tell it with complete truth. And yeah, it was a grind. We finished the film 4 hours before we premiered it in Jackson.
Whoa.
Yeah, it was crazy journey, a lot of computer work, but so stoked to at 18 years old have this film that like just means like so much to me and definitely to show my kids one day like this like wild experience that I went through at that age. And I don't know if you like watch the film, but it ends open-endedly and we did that
Mm.
on purpose because it's not the end of my story, you know, it's like this was like a chapter and now on to the next.
One of the many things that is so neat about this film for you is it'll be a really cool piece of posterity. You'll always be able to look back and have this real timestamp on your life of, this is what I was like and this is how I felt in this time of my life that ended up being really pivotal. When you go through something challenging like that at your age, it really changes you and shapes you. I am a little bit curious to hear more about how you feel in that because the film really talks about your journey of self-discovery. How has your perspective on skiing and life changed during the making of this movie?
So I mean, I think it was really like special for me to like go and see these journeys and experiences and relive these emotions that I was going through last year. And it's just like shown me even more like gratitude for like, health and life. And I really do hope this film can help somebody going through a hard time, whether it's an injury or even like a bad breakup or something random outside of skiing, just to like show you that you can't, even with doubters and haters and with challenges, you can find that success as long as you believe it. So, yeah, it's super cool piece to have and still wrapping my head around the fact that it's like out in there. Like it was so close to us for like so long and we only showed a select group of people, but now it's like the world. So it's been so rad to like hear the feedback and hear from people. And yeah, it's just been overall just been like super special and so glad that I get to like have this timestamp and this piece to look back on when I'm older.
Well, congratulations, man. It's really cool. It's very powerful. How many movies are you in this year?
I guess yeah, that season I was in Falling Into Place and then I had two parts in the TGR movie.
That's awesome, dude. Congrats.
Yeah, so it was sick. Yeah.
And
It
what's
was
your plan for filming moving forward? Are you happy to be in the normal annual TGR movies, or do you want to make your own movies?
No, I'm so stoked to go and like just like have like a sixth season and make an epic video part in the TGR film. Making this film has been nothing but the best, but it's gonna be cool to like just go back to the roots of what I started doing and couldn't be like more fired up to just be in the mix with the whole crew and just filming this collective group project and stuff. It's a lot of work doing these films and it's a big responsibility too because like when you do get the money you do have to deliver a good product and it's yeah it's a lot it's a bit really complicated process so I'm stoked to just focus on the skiing and the quality of my skiing this year.
Well, thanks for sharing that because I think a lot of us don't understand that kind of pressure. Once you get that money, things change. So thanks for sharing that. And I am curious, you talked about the crew. What's it like having Jeremy Jones as your uncle? Do you get to ski or ride with him much?
It's so sick. We spend most Christmases together and it's so fun riding with him. He's just such a schrauper and he just loves riding. Last year over Christmas break I was pretty beat up and we didn't have like a lot of snow and instead of just complaining about the snow, he just kept calling it this is Big Mountain Ski Camp and we like hiked Cody every single day and he just has the best attitude towards the mountain and super like inspiring person. He's helped me through all my challenges in life from like getting haters at a young age to recovering from this injury and keeping my mind strong through everything.
Jeremy's a huge inspiration for me, especially with his Protect Our Winter stuff, which I know you're also
Yeah,
involved in, which
totally.
is really cool. And when he says Cody, he means Cody Peak, which is a hike that you can do from the top of the tram at Jackson Hole. And speaking about Jackson Hole and the Teton Mountains, why to you is Jackson and the Tetons so rad? And how have they helped you become the skier you are?
Yeah, I mean the Tetons are such a special place. There's so much like history in the terrain. No one's getting first descents these days, and I mention that because there's been so many legends that have come before me and even before TGR that have like shaped the culture of this place and shaped the energy. And obviously the terrain is optimal for like being this big mountain mecca, but I think what makes Jackson so special is the culture and the energy in this area.
I agree, man. I rent a room in Jackson, so I'm up there as much as I can in the winter, and it is a really special place. Would you move anywhere else?
It's so hard. It's funny because like you'd think you're like standard high schooler will go to college and then get out of town and go like start their own life. But my parents already figured out the sickest place in the world. So yeah, as of now, I'm pretty stoked on staying in Jackson. But I will say like my second favorite place I've ever been is Tahoe, and I feel like Palisades has the same vibe as
Yeah.
Jackson, like that ski culture and the terrain gets all there. So that could be a place I could see myself spending some time in the future.
Well, I hope to see you out here, man, because those are my two favorite places by a long shot. I spent 20, for the first time ever, I spent this winter in Jackson in 2017. And since then, I always rent a room there because I can't deal with the fact that I can't go to Jackson whenever I want. When they're
Yeah.
having a storm cycle, ski with my buddy Owen Leeper and go
Yeah.
charge around. It's just such a fun place. I've seen a lot of young skiers and riders who were so good, so young, but they either got hurt or burned out or both. What's your plan moving into your 20s and beyond? Do you think you'll burn out or try something new, or do you think you'll be a pro skier for life?
Yeah, so I think it's kind of yeah, it's definitely like an interesting question because the skiers that have burned out or had to like retire early because of injury, it's good to like see how people's careers have gone. And
Hmm.
Jeremy's a huge inspiration for me with his longevity and stuff. So like I try
Yeah.
and like always just like be checking myself, making sure I'm doing it all for the right reasons and I'm staying safe and I'm staying smart. And my goal is to like be a pro skier as long as I can. And to do it as long as Jeremy is insanely impressive. And I hope to like have that opportunity and we'll see where it goes. But glad that I've like seen where like different careers have gone. And I definitely want to follow in Jeremy's footsteps and just be like smart with my body and stuff so it doesn't become too painful and so I don't have to retire too early. Because man, I love this stuff. Skiing is just my purest passion and want to just do it as long as possible.
Well, I hope you do whatever it is you want to do, but I also hope that you keep skiing, man, because it's really fun to watch. It's very inspirational. And I think having Jeremy, like you said, is such a perfect mentor for that exact aspect. How can you do this as long as possible at a high level? And makes me think of because you've done some scary stuff already, right? Stuff that I haven't done, I would never do, that most even pro skier level people wouldn't do. It's really impressive. And I'm curious, what's the scariest line? It doesn't have to be objective. Like to you, what was the scariest line that you ever skied?
I think the scariest line I ever skied was that big straight line that I was talking about earlier. It was
Hmm.
just so high octane and so out there, and the margin for error was small as you want to deal with. So that was probably the craziest and scariest thing I've done. But in that, it was the most like rewarding thing I've ever done in my ski career. So it's that balance. There's like a tightrope. You can't push it too far over the edge or else you get hurt. But that balance of pushing your limits and pushing the human capacity is one of the coolest things in the world. And I chase that feeling every year. And you usually only get one of those opportunities, and they're very rare. But when it all does work out, it's pretty insane and out there.
And that line is insane and out there. So I hope people watch your movie and see that. And the way they filmed it was really good because you can't see the bottom of the chute. And so as
Yeah.
the drone pans down, there's just more and more. The chute keeps coming and you're already going so fast. And it just starts to blow your mind. Like this chute is not ending. And he's going, so how fast do you think you were going?
Oh, yeah, I get asked that all the time, but I actually have no idea. And I'm bummed because I was wearing my GoPro, and on the GoPro, if you have a correct setting turned on, it can see your speed, and I didn't have
Ah,
that turned on. So
that would have been cool. I mean, but
we'll
you got
never
to be
know.
going.
But yeah, I went as fast as like I could possibly go. So if for any math wizards out there, you could like probably figure that out.
I mean, it looks like you're going 70 miles an hour, but who
Yeah,
knows, right?
it was fast for sure.
It
Yeah.
was insane, man. And so you also were a competitor. You referred to when you were young. And I think did you even compete on the Freeride World Tour?
No, I just did the IFSA comps,
The
but
IFSA. Okay.
um with the format, you're not allowed to like flip. I'm like
Oh.
really into like freestyle side of big mountain skiing, so I'm not as interested in like the format for like the junior contests. And one day I definitely like want to do the Fred World Tour, but I think the dream contests are like these newer contests coming out, like natural selection, Bobby's event, and Marcus Etter's got this new event. I'm definitely more stoked on the giving the riders the best conditions and giving
Hmm.
them the outlet to like be creative and unique and different.
And do you like competing or is filming more fun?
I love competing. I think filming's definitely my like true passion. I love just creating a body of work and having a lot of time to create something special. But like the competition energy definitely pushes you to be your best rider. And I think I find that pretty cool as well. So they both have their own ebbs and flows. But yeah, I definitely am into competing for sure.
Nice, man. What role does social media play in your career, in your life, and how do you approach your online presence?
Yeah, I mean, as of now, like the ski industry is slowly becoming more geared being like almost an influencer, you know. You have to be like versatile. You can't just be a good skier anymore. You have to be able to like post and play the game of like Instagram and TikTok and all these things to have success in skiing. So it's super crucial and it'll continue to become more and more important as the world keeps developing with online.
And do you have people helping you with your social media accounts or you just do it yourself?
No, I do it myself. Growing up in this like social media era, I'm seeing it all and seeing what works and stuff. And I think it's like gives almost like an upper hand to like the younger generation
Yeah.
being able to like we grew up around social media and we know what works and how the platform performs at its best. So it's a huge like part of my ski career. And I think more and more like people will have to like keep getting good at it.
You've traveled to so many incredible ski destinations. What's been your favorite place to ski so far and why?
I think my favorite place is Alaska just because the mountains are so endless and vast and it's just one of the more unexplored places of the world. And in that just like feeling of unknowingness is what just keeps you going back. And it's such a addicting a feeling. It's so fun.
How many trips have you done to Alaska?
I think I've done 4 trips now.
Wow,
Um,
already.
yeah, it's pretty sick. I can't even remember all the trips that I've done. Yeah, it's just such a sick place. I've done five. I've done four heli trips though. I think that's what
Okay,
it is.
nice. And are there any ski destinations that are on your bucket list that you haven't been to?
I've never skied. This always amazes people. I've never skied in Europe, so that's high on the
No,
bucket list.
that does surprise me. I'm sure that'll get fixed pretty quick. That's really cool. You mentioned going to the gym and training and working with Red Bull. How do you stay physically fit? Because that's really key for preventing injuries, especially in the way you ski is so high impact.
Yeah, it's so crucial, and I'm glad that I've learned this lesson now. So all summer, like working super hard in the gym and just fine tuning those muscle groups to get me ready for the terrain I'm skiing. And I hope to like keep doing that throughout my career because that's what keeps you away from getting injured and keeps you on top of your game.
And with all that training, you've achieved some awesome things. Looking back on your career so far, you're still young. What achievement are you most proud of?
I'd say I'm definitely most proud of falling into place. It kind of summarizes everything into like one piece. And I think skiing is such a selfish sport and it's just like pursuit of your own self experience. And I think what's special about falling into place, it's not just like cocky, like self-absorbed ski film. I think it can actually give back to people and has a different element to it, which is super special and I'm super proud of. And that's my goal with my skiing is to inspire people outside of the sport and just leave a positive impact.
And that's huge. And I think you are doing that. You are very inspiring. And you've gotten some great mentorship too. I think that's been huge for you because not everybody gets such good mentors as you've gotten to have. And so I'm also really inspired and proud of those people helping you out. What do you think is the most valuable piece of advice you've received from mentors or anybody in your ski career?
Mm. It's so hard, but I mean, I guess because in this podcast we're talking a lot about my journey with my injury. Jeremy told me right when I got hurt to never waste an injury, and that's a quote that shaped myself, who I am today. Because like when you do get hurt, you think that like you're only tied to your sport, but the idea of like never wasting injury is to like keep living your life beyond skiing and find purpose beyond skiing, and it allowed me to like go and pick up a camera and learn how to edit and learn how to juggle and spend time with my friends and spend time with people that I'd like kind of separated from because I'd been so focused on skiing. So that was like a really like good learning lesson for me. And in that, I did my first little short film on my YouTube channel. I made this 5 minute short about my experience over the summer rehabbing, and that then led to the inspiration of making Falling Into Place and in this like huge accolade of my career.
Well,
So never
that's
waste an injury. That's a super epic Jeremy Jones quote.
no, I love that. And we've had Dr. Kevin Stone, who's an orthopedic surgeon, on the podcast, and he talks about in a similar vein, a similar vibe. Jeremy says never waste an injury, and he basically says use an injury as an excuse to come back better than you were before.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and it's basically also part of what Jeremy is saying there, and I think it's what you've done, which is impressive. So Jeremy was a great mentor. What other mentors have you had in your skiing career?
Obviously Dirtsy's like been the biggest mentor. When we did that 11-year-old segment, I think the TGR crew called up some other people, but Tim was the only like crazy enough one to say yes to skiing and mentoring an 11-year-old in the backcountry and been like best friends ever since. And he's always just gave me great advice on life and skiing, and he's like an uncle to me.
That's cool. He's a very cool kid. He's way too tall to be as good at skiing as he is.
I know
He's got to
it
be
is
6'4".
ridiculous.
It's weird.
Yeah, same with like Nick McNutt too. I'm just like, how are these guys such cat?
It's amazing to me, man. First time I saw Dirty in the lift line, I was like, "You're too tall to be good at skiing. What are you doing here?" That's amazing. What have mentors told you about working on your fear? Because, fear is such a big part of this kind of skiing you do. How do you handle the fear when you're attempting these challenging lines or tricks?
Yeah, I think like a big thing that I try and lean back on is there's a difference between nerves and fear. It's funny, people like think that like athletes are superhumans, but they're just more prepared. I've put so much time into like getting to where I am in skiing. So I still have those like same fears, and maybe for more modest skier, like that would be dropping into Rendezvous Bowl like off the top of the tram, but I'm going and doing triple or whatever it is that I'm doing. And I think try and lean back on like, okay, am I scared or am I nervous? Because everyone's nervous and you always have nerves, but the second something like genuinely becomes scary, then it's a good sign to back down and adjust your plan or your day. You can always come back another day too. Like, especially for me too, like I'm so young, I've got so much skiing ahead of me. I think it's important for me to like lean on the safer side of things with when I'm choosing lines and choosing things to do.
I love that. And I love that mentality. And that's a very intelligent way to think about it. What do you hope your legacy in the ski world will be?
Well, I think like I was saying earlier is I hope that I can leave a like a positive impact on the ski community and skiing and inspire more people to like get out in the mountains and enjoy this beautiful thing that a lucky couple of us get to do. And I don't know what it is yet, but I hope I can find my own thing to revolutionize, like how Jeremy did with splitboarding. I think like exploring new things and straying from the beaten path is where I want to go. And I've got time to like find where I want to take it, but really excited to just let that road take me for a ride.
Love it, man. What's next for you and your journey?
Yeah, going into this next winter, super stoked to just like go back to like the purity of filming one of my best video parts. And I want to go to like British Columbia this year, go back up to Alaska and just ski a bunch, have a bunch of fun. And one of my big goals is to win Ride of the Year. And yeah, hopefully I can just keep pushing myself and becoming the best skier I can become. And we'll see where she goes as far as productions and films. But yeah, right now, definitely just super focused on the skiing and stuff.
I wish you the best, man, and I wish you the Rider of the Year soon because I know that you have
Someday.
the skill set. I know you have the skill set, and I know that you're only getting stronger. You're only getting better. And I think most of us know if you're 18 now, I always think about Michael Jordan, I think peaked at 32, 33. So to think about that, you might have, who knows, man, 10, 15 years before your true peak. So I think keep taking it slow, keep being smart, keep doing what you're doing, man. It's really fun and inspiring to watch. And thank you so much for joining us on the podcast here. It's been a pleasure having you on the show, man. Just hearing your
Yeah, thank
insights and
you
your
so much.
experience. Yeah, you're welcome, man. Just hearing your insight and experience from such a young age. It's so unique. Nobody's doing what you're doing, man. And so, yeah, so again, ignore anybody who doesn't understand it and keep charging forward. You're doing a great thing, man. And thank you so much for being on the show. I really appreciate you.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Super stoked for the rest of winter. It's going to be awesome.
No question. Thank you so much for listening to the SnowBrains podcast. If you like this podcast, please share with friends and family, and please make sure to subscribe. To find out more about SnowBrains, please visit us at snowbrains.com. You can also find us on Instagram, Facebook, X, and more. This episode of the SnowBrains podcast is brought to you by Club Med. Ditch the hassle and embrace the freedom of an all-inclusive ski vacation with Club Med. Their resorts in the European Alps and Canada offer the perfect blend of exhilarating skiing, exceptional service, and worry-free pampering. Enjoy having lift tickets, delicious meals, lessons for all ages, and endless apres-ski fun, all included in one price. While the kids are having a blast at the supervised children's clubs, you can focus on mastering your skiing skills and creating unforgettable memories on and off the slopes. Visit www.clubmed.us or call 1-800-CLUB-MED or call your travel advisor to experience skiing without limits. This episode of the SnowBrains podcast was edited by Liam Abbott. Music by Chad Crouch. And I'm your host, creator, and director, Miles Clark.